Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live chat. Today we're going to be doing a bit of a discussion. You can feel free to share your own thoughts and opinions in the live chat on the right hand side. It could be a bit of a shorter video today because some busy bits here and there, bits and bobs in background. So not as much time to focus as well. I need to plan some more projects on Google Earth and actually pinpoint it out, you know what I'm saying? Because it just works better that. I need to do that in advance. But what I want to begin with, slightly different, before I forget, is with Aidan Clune, okay? Have I completely forgotten about Aidan Clune? Well, I've not really referred back to him at all when I've been looking at Dylan, right? I mean, it's just how it is. Focus on one case at a time. It works for me. It doesn't for others, but there you go. I know Pancakes has started focusing on to Aidan as well, and he mentioned one point about how do we know if it's even Aidan Clune who's gone missing that went running into the desert? Is there any cameras? Is there any actual proof? Was there any actual witnesses? I mean, from what's been said, Aidan's car was found parts on the other side of the highway, so they assumed that it was Aidan's, that he was driving it at the time and then crossed over. So I'm going to try and understand it from different perspectives, okay? So I can understand why people would assume Aidan's gone missing because he's nowhere else to be seen, right? He's somewhere, but no one really knows where exactly. That's why he's not been found yet. For his own vehicle, from the looks of it, I guess, well, people are going to know if it's his vehicle. The mother can confirm if it's his vehicle. You know, she probably would have seen him in that vehicle. You know, if you probably look back at documents and like papers and all that, it'll probably be in his name, you'd think, or maybe in the family's name or something, depending on the situation. So you'd be able to refer back to it as Aidan's vehicle. The only other possibility could be maybe Aidan rented a vehicle, used someone else's for whatever reason. Well, then you'd have to track back to the owner of that vehicle then, if that ever was the case, and then ask them who took it off you. Was it Aidan? Was it someone else? Do you know? That's your way of trying to get to the bottom of it, right? But you put that aside and it is Aidan's vehicle, no one else's. You can still throw in the next argument of, yeah, but someone else could have taken it, could have stole it from Aidan, maybe. And I guess what you'd have to do is track back to the last time Aidan was in that vehicle, if it's possible, such as CCTV footage, and go from there. Using my memory, okay, I did a little timeline video on one of my past videos, pretty dead-end video, but if you want to check it out, feel free to do so. And I was just like looking from some article or small website where it summarised it, and I just kind of like, I think I might have pinpointed it. I might have actually done a map analysis. I'm sure I had like markers on with timestamps as well. And I think I was talking about Curry, Nevada, where Aidan was from or where he was staying at. And then there was some other comments of people complaining, saying, you got it wrong, you got it wrong, you're incorrect, you're incorrect. Well, once again, it's not what I was saying. It was what others were saying from an actual article. So you'll see that pattern where things do go wrong. It's not exactly because of me, but because of others, because that's where the information has come from. You get me? That's just how it's been, kind of like with the Dirt Mound case as well. But that aside, from what I remember, I can't remember the exact dates, times and all that, but when I think about it, Aidan was at a motel or hotel at some point, wasn't he? Where was that? I can't remember, but I said a video will explain it all, and I only focus on one case at a time. But Aidan left from a motel by himself and no one else was with him at the time. So yeah, he ended up going to Wendover, I believe, or West Wendover, went to one of the gas stations to refill. And then instead of going on as if you were to go east towards Salt Lake City and all that way, he went back the other way, went west, so back on the highway, and then eventually at some point pulled over and then crossed over the road and then went into the desert, okay? So if people were still a little bit wary, okay, and thinking, yeah, but who knows it's Aidan? How can we be so sure it could be anyone? First of all, check the car. Is it his? Second of all, track back to the last location, the last transaction made where there's probably cameras, right? And witnesses. So the gas station, whichever one it was within Wendover, West Wendover, go into one of the gas stations and say, hey, do you have CCTV footage on this day? Yes, no. Do you remember this person coming in called Aidan Clune? If he introduced himself, yes, no. Even just hold up a picture. Have you seen this person? When did they last come in here? And they give their answer, okay? So that's one way of trying to get to the bottom of it. Because you think about it, okay, you got a highway, and if cars have passed by, you could get the odd witness, but is it easy to get a hold of those people? Maybe online, maybe social media, but you know, from if you know, any of you know, is that highway going into Wendover quiet at times? Can it be kind of like a ghost setting where there's not really anyone present? Can it be a bit like the highway which goes into like Montello and then goes over into Lucerne? Can it be as quiet as that? Because if so, then you probably could understand why there was no other witnesses if the timing was how it was. You know what I'm saying? Is there anything else to really conclude from it? I mean, it's just like the footprints themselves. As long as there's only one set of footprints, you could suggest that no one was literally chasing after him physically, okay? And the next question after that would be, okay, once they started fading away and you couldn't seem to see any more footprints, it got harder to see. Is that because he stopped walking? Is it because he stood still and something else happened? Did he get picked up by someone? That's what you could think. And well, this is the thing, because I've not gone like all in, all deep into it, never before. That's why I'm just briefly touching upon these like little points, okay? No harm in doing so. But if there is time and like if I can be in that focus to cover it, then I will. You know what I'm saying? But you need to be in that focus, because if not, and you force yourself to do it, it'll just be a complete shit show. And there's no point doing that. What good does that do? Get me? So you can share your thoughts down below to what you think about Aidan Clune. You know, do you feel Aidan Clune was more vulnerable than Dylan Rounds? Did Aidan Clune have the same mentality as Dylan Rounds in the background or not? Did Aidan Clune hide things from his mother? You know, stuff like that, okay? But let's just put that aside for now and we'll just return back to the Dylan Rounds talk, okay? Still ongoing. I'm sure we've got into the second week of February now, or past that. Not heard anything yet, but you know, you get time to sink in. Would it be ironic that Dylan Rounds information comes out on my birthday, the 18th? I don't think so. I don't think so. I can't predict like to that extent, no. Will anything happen on the 18th? I don't know. But we'll just see what happens, of course. I feel that there might be a possibility that after that meeting has taken place with Candice Cooley Justin in Box Elder County, that it might be shared either on Doug's channel or the East Idaho News channel. I don't know which one will follow first, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, Doug is closer to Candice Cooley than, I guess, Ned Eaton is to Candice Cooley, but Ned Eaton is kind of more professional, right, in comparison, okay? Is there anything else to highlight in the background? Not really. I guess Jenny, little observations point out, like how some individuals will like, don't tag, don't use hashtags of this name, that name, do your own thing, yeah. And then they ended up showing up once again, so I don't know what that's all about. I know people are talking about the mugshots of certain people in the past having a criminal history background. At least from my perspective, okay. How do I word this? Well, with the Kenny Veach case, although it's not, you know, a true crime, Okay, it's just a missing person case, but there could be some form of criminal activity going on or some kind of dodginess in the background and corruptness. So you can always still include that. But for most part of it, the people that have been involved in the Kenny Veach M Cave case community, there's been some knobheads, there's been toxic people, there's been degenerates, there's been impetuous twats, there's been whingy, whiny wankers, the lot. But not really anyone with a criminal background history, right? But when it comes to the Dylan Rounds case, you know, wow, it's like a criminal underworld, isn't it? All gathered together, and it's like interesting. I don't know if it's a coincidence, right? Because, you know, put aside the people's backstory or past history of bad things they may have done, don't you just think it's a bit of a coincidence how all these people who don't know one another have all gathered on this one case and have all got some kind of criminal history? Do you think that's a coincidence or not? It doesn't have to be YouTubers, content creators. It can also apply to just viewers as well. Really? So I thought that was kind of interesting. As I said, I've not really looked too deep into it or too deep into the people, so I wouldn't know to the extent who is who, but I guess with time it's unravelled, right? I mean, in your opinion, like let's say there's someone very specific in the background right now watching this video, you know, whether you're a dodgy person or not, that doesn't matter. I'm not really bothered. But any of you in the background, do you feel that any of these people present, maybe not here right now, but just in the atmosphere within the Dirt Mound community, are any of those people dangerous? Are there any dangerous people in the Dylan Rounds community? It could be for whatever reason, psychological, physical, who knows? I'm just interested, right? Because it's just an observation, that's all. But just list your points down below. Will it cause issues? Oh well, you know, enough issues have already been caused. Can't get any worse, can it? And this is always still here, don't worry. Okay, but let's just put that aside, okay? What do we specifically look at today? Well, I can tell you what we are going to be looking at shortly, okay? Not today then, just as a heads up so you're aware. I think the next video, what I'm going to be looking at will be a map analysis of a couple of days before Dylan went missing, and I think a day before Dylan came across Chase Venstra for the first time, right? We don't need to go in too deep right now, but that's what I was saying earlier about my community post about Burley, Idaho, okay? I really feel like I have looked at Burley, Idaho. You know, the word Burley, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. I've seen that before. It's just weird. I'm sure I've looked at it, but the more I think about it, and Tom Evans said himself, maybe it was to do with when you were looking at a Don Hately video in the past where we were looking for his location, Oakley, Idaho, and I might have skimmed past Burley, Idaho, because they are near to each other. Well, if I'm correct in saying, not too far away. You get what I'm saying? But then it actually makes me think maybe I might have looked at it a couple of times in the past, skimmed over it, and that's why it feels like I've already been there when I haven't for the actual reason to why we are going to be there, right? And when I think about it, we looked at, what was it, Hazelton? Hazelton Graveyard in Idaho. We briefly looked at Idaho Falls as well. And in between, I believe, you got Burley. And it might have been even when we're looking at the motels, the motel analysis, right? The only reason why I just really wanted to look back is because I didn't want to miss anything else out, right? If I feel like I've covered it within the Dylan Rounds case, then I need to try and remember it so then I can apply to this new video. But from the looks of it, and from what other people have said, we've not gone deep there regarding Dylan. So it looks like it's okay. So yeah, that can be the next video. And we can pinpoint it maybe. We can go on ground level street view, just have a look at the area and stuff. You'll get the idea once we get into it, okay? It will be a bit more visual. It will be a lot better, okay? Because I know those type of videos and stuff, do seem to help people understand more, right? And I do find them kind of more fun, if that's the appropriate wording, when making the videos, right? Instead of just sat here staring into, what do you call it? Staring into the sky, maybe. Okay, so that will be coming. Any others? Yeah, there is another one, but I might have to put a question mark next to the video because it's hard to tell who is who. So Christopher Lloyd, okay, he's a known individual within the community of Dylan Rounds and other channels. Christopher Lloyd popped in recent time and gave a list of possible places of interest. But when I told him, do you believe Dylan's at one of those locations? He said, I don't know. So it's like, well, you must have an idea about something for you to think of those key locations, okay? So we will take a look at them, but I do want to add a question mark just in case it's dodgy, right? We don't want to go down that line. And the reason why I say possible dodginess is because in recent time, and I have noticed it in the past, but I don't think people really picked up on it enough, was there was 2 lots of Christopher Lloyd accounts, okay? One Christopher Lloyd account is with a grey profile picture. The other Christopher Lloyd account, spelt the same, is with a green profile picture, okay? Who is who? Who is real? Who is fake? As we know in the past, fake accounts going about. It's done the rounds with different people, of course. I guess there might be some still lingering about from the looks of it. When I did come across the green Christopher Lloyd account, I asked him, are you aware of that other account? And Christopher said, oh, that's a fake one. Now, it's easy to dismiss it and say, well, that's just a fake one. That's what's happened with, I guess, when people have been impersonating other people, saying, no, that's the fake account. But the one that's dismissing it is the one who's actually fake. So you go into a bit of a loop, right? And I think it makes it significantly harder when you got fake accounts of default profiles where people have a default profile picture, 0 content and videos on their channel, you know, just makes it harder. Whereas if you had, who could I use as an example? If you had a fake account of no thanks, you could tell who's real and who's not. The real one obviously has more subscribers, more views and all the videos on the channel. And then you'd think the fake account has 0 videos on the channel and a low subscriber account. So that's the fake. But obviously with default profiles, it becomes a lot harder to defer who's who, right? Anything else to mention? Kind of off subject, but we'll just highlight it now. If you haven't already, make sure to check out Bella V's latest short video. Kind of interesting. And also, wasn't created by her, but I guess it was passed on because Ellen doesn't, you know, do YouTube, like upload videos to her channel, but I guess like a video was passed on to Ellen to like repost, okay? So check those videos out. Ellen Berg seemed to have fully transformed herself, right? You know, normally when people might do an impression or sound a bit different, you know, you can tell who's doing it. But for some weird reason, when watching Ellen Berg do her speaking and the pronunciation and different accents and I guess maybe facial expressions, she like looked completely different, like a completely different person. You wouldn't know it's actually Ellen Berg, which is kind of creepy in a way. You know, if she's good at doing that, then, you know, I don't know, it could be useful in a way, possibly. But I'm sure at some points when Ellen Berg was talking, she actually sounded like, who is it, Lady Luck or Lady L on Pancake's channel, some Australian or something. Just sounded very similar at times, which was a bit funny. So yeah, make sure to check out. And also Bella V's short video too, because Bella V ended up, I guess, dressing up like Ellen, and that's even more creepy because Bella V looks like Ellen. So I don't know if this is going to be like a new trend, a new pattern where everybody in the community starts dressing up like Ellen, starts getting like the wig out, the mobility scooter, no, I mean the Polaroid off-road vehicle, and a collection of dogs too. I don't know, but interesting. Of course, I still need to reach out to the gorillas. Okay, so Weedleby, If you're present or if you join later, get your arse here right now, Weedleby. Don't even try and play with me, okay? Don't even try and give any attitude. Yeah, Weedleby, yeah, okay? Send that Gorilla Jack's way, because we need to discuss a few things, right? Regarding the robe, okay? Does Gorilla Jack have any spare robes in his wardrobe? Let me know, okay? Could be quite useful. Some kind of trade deal once again. It was successful the first time in Uganda. Maybe it can happen once again in South Africa. Just let me know, and then the gorillas can come down to South Africa and then, you know, get on with things. Just give the code word when ready and if possible, okay? Because we did say it was time for another Jungle Book story, part 2, right? Okay, so let's just put that aside. Return back to the Dylan Rounds discussion, of course, okay? I think today, if there's time, first just take a look back at some of the previous comments. Not as long this time because there's not as many comments to look at. There's nothing to see on the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page yet. I made sure to check there just in case anything was shared by Candice Cooley, any updates. There wasn't. And then I guess we'll just carry on with that forum. I think we're on page 16 now. See what's being talked about and just keep the flow going, right? Keep the case alive and see if any new discussions can come about. I feel in recent time, a few points, a few ideas have re-emerged, which to me is a positive because it's come up in little chunks, okay? Not the whole lot all at once, not 10 hours worth, just like a couple of sentences, right? As you know, I dissect stuff. I'm Dr. Raff. And once I've finished with the patient, I stitch it back together again, okay? So that's what we're doing with these bits of information coming out with time. And I feel like whether it's 100% true or just a possible rumour, we can at least visualise it for once with the next upcoming video. You'll get the idea soon, okay? So in the meantime, let's move on to the comments of the last video I did of the Dirt Mound. I would say arguably a better reception, that video, but then again, it's just a topic and theme of what it was on about. That's a key line, that. If it's just a discussion, it'll be flat. If it's a direct, specific thing, it will yield more of an attention retention span. So even just demonstrating it there, it shows that's how it works, right? And when there's moments and times within a case such as this where you can just focus on one thing at a time, it is practical and it shows in the results, okay? So let's go to the comment section there, clear up any questions, if there is any complaints, any additional points of information, and see where we're at. Okay, so here we are. Let's just work our way from the bottom, working up to the top. Okay, a few little comments there, shout out to them. Okay, Weezer says there is a picture of the dirt pile in the official timeline. Okay, so I assume, Weezer, you're talking about what, the timeline page on the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page? Is that what you're talking about? Or do you mean elsewhere? Let me know. H2O, shout out to H2O. Ellen Berg, you crack me up, Raph. Oh no, Humpty Dumpty, I hope we can put you back together again. Don't worry, Ellen. We'll get the Gorilla Glue out, so then you'll be glued up. He responded there. Oh, Joseph's getting about. Okay, here we go. We've got some interesting comments out. Jacqueline Rampley, welcome to the channel. I think she's a new viewer. Jacqueline says, the dirt mound does look disturbed near the top. Dirt from the mini crater could have just trickled down side of the mound, possibly. Looks very suspicious to me. I really don't think that mound has been checked thoroughly. One of these evenings, I'll get to alive. Oh yeah, okay, understandable. So another point that was added on in the last discussion, and I can't remember who it was exactly. Was it Mini-Me? Maybe. Someone was talking about how, you know, if there's been rain with time at any point, that could have compacted the dirt down itself. And I can understand what she was talking about. Yeah, Because, like, you've been out on a walk and you look at the ground itself, or you look at a little hill, a little mound, you'll see, because of the cause of the rain. I understand that. But what I don't quite understand is some of it is smooth, other areas are not, and very crumbly and loose and dry. So how can some areas be supposedly damp, wet, moist, but other areas are not, when it's not exactly covered or shaded by some kind of canopy above? You know what I'm saying? So try and work that one out. But when we did look at the photos, it did appear as if it's kind of been searched, but not thoroughly. There was some discussions where people were saying how, I don't know if it was a fact, it might have been more of a just from what they've heard, that Justin Rounds and one of his friends went about poking with sticks, looking, searching. But what good is that going to do? What, poke and prod and hope that you may prod Dylan's remains? How useful is that? And how would you really know? If you think about it, you try prodding a dirt mound and create a little bit of a hole, it's only going to cave in on itself because of all the loose dirt, right? You need to brush it all away, or just dig it up, move it aside, and then sieve through it, look through it if possible, right? I don't know how loose the dirt is overall, or at least how loose it was at the time. I think what we need to do is just briefly understand that with it supposedly raining hellaciously, as described by the witnesses in Lucin at the time, did it impact the dirt mound that much then? And people saying it rained Sunday as well. Would it have compromised trying to bury Dylan in the dirt mound? You get what I'm saying? If the dirt mound has become compacted, it's absorbed the water, becomes a bit heavier, more compact, harder to shift, maybe a bit harder to dig, maybe. I mean, when it's really dry, the ground can go hard, right? I understand that. But this is like dirt from the ground or dirt from somewhere, which is all collected in one spot, right? It's not just natural flat ground, right? Where it's a mound of collection where it's been dumped out, and the drier it is, the more crumbly and looser. But if it's wet, compacts, more of a solid, you start trying to shovel it, a bit like cement maybe, but a bit more heavier. And would that have put off someone disposing of Dylan there? So they used other methods. That's why that's why the weather is important, because the weather can determine how people go about their days for good and bad reasons, right? Let's move on. Robert says, the motorhome you showed in this video is the motorhome that Venstre had. Not for you says, nope, police have chases. It was never in any videos. Yeah, that motorhome, what we saw in that last video of mine, Weezer cleared it up and said, if I'm correct in saying, it was Ed Harshberger's, or originally Ed Harshberger's, okay? But as for Chase's trailer, if the police... Well, answer me this, not for you, if you're present right now. If the police have Chase Venstre's trailer, why? And do they still have it in their possession now? And why? Because if the general talk is, and from what Candice Cooley has said, and some other people in between, and some viewers, that Chase Venstre is innocent, he's got an alibi, it's all over and done with, there we go, then why are the police holding on to that trailer? Why are they not giving it back or just disposing of it? What evidence is on that trailer? You know what I'm saying? And speaking of which, that trailer that's been taken away, which was originally Chase Venstre's, does it have anything to do with one of the trailers, what we saw when Pancakes went to Chase Venstre's homestead in Montello, and you saw all those trailers scattered about and nearby, You had that dead dog in the hole, and you had the lawnmowers parked up on the side, and some of the vehicles and cars too. And then the boots in the cardboard box, and then near to the trailer, all ammunition found scattered on the floor. Do you remember that? Was one of those trailers taken away? Is that one of Chase's, or was it elsewhere in between? Let me know, because it's just like a few little bumpy bits there. It's just, because if Chase Venstre is innocent, you'd think certain items would be returned back, but, I mean, well, this is the thing. I think at the end of the day, without getting too far ahead of yourself, I think what you got to understand is, even if Chase Venstre has an alibi, even when the likes of Candice Cooley and others say he's innocent, he's not directly involved, you don't just suddenly think, oh yeah, so he's innocent, he's a free walking man. No, that's not the case. He's still been done on gun charges, which are unrelated to the Dylan Brown's case, but he still has got in trouble elsewhere. Okay, so he's not all good, he's not all clean, of course. It's just always worth referring back to that point about the gun charges with Chase Venstre, because if you forget, you might end up thinking this guy's completely innocent. You know what I'm saying? Just let me know your thoughts, Ram. I mean, I can also understand why they might not release the trailer back, because if like Chase Venstre actually lived inside of that trailer, well, he's not going to have any need or purpose for it when he's in like jail himself, you know. Anything else? Robert says, buzzing. Sounds like an old Star Trek story plot. Jacqueline, the buzzing flies could have been attracted to the cans, but those cans looked old. Unless those cans are the last meal Brenner ate before he was taken in by the police, maybe. But still, that's quite a few months ago, isn't it? So you wouldn't think there'd be anything left in those cans to attract the flies. Raymond, I don't know that it's flies buzzing. I didn't see anything. This is the thing. Things can be captured on camera, auditory. It's not always visual. The reason why it's captured on camera, because camera, video, camcorder, you know, like the same thing, right? And it's been caught, the auditory of it. You get what I'm saying? Just like how they say, paranormal caught on camera, ghostly voice caught on camera, etc., etc. We've heard it all before. So, Raymond, you just have to replay the video back, turn the volume up, and then you might be able to hear it. Like, this is the thing. We've got to take in mind, and especially it applies to the Kenny Veach case, not everyone has good hearing. Some people, it might be shit. Other people, it's average. Some people might have very sensitive hearing. As for my hearing, I'd say I've got eyes like an eagle, but I've got ears like a cat. I feel like I do have cat ears because my ears are kind of sensitive, okay? So I can like hear and listen to things even when it might be quieter than for other people. So you got to take in consideration that when you're adjusting the volume. You know, it could be deafening for some, and then for others it's just like enough. It's a bit of a mess. What's it? It's Weezer. Darn it, I messed up. I've been going through back to the beginning and reading old posts and comments. I came across one that I believe was from the people camping. She mentioned the mountain, but also said that she noticed a whole bunch of flies near the wash. That's near the tracks. I haven't been able to find that post again, but I'm still looking. Interesting. I mean, the reason why it's interesting is because of the tracks, which Candice Cooley talked about previously, the tracks being of Dylan's vehicle, from the looks of it. The wash, whichever wash that is, because of the whole talk and focus about it, and possibilities mentioned by Candice Cooley, that maybe where Dylan was taken, okay? The idea of flies being present, interesting as well. But let's just say, if this was by the campers, the witnesses out there, what day did they come across the wash and see flies hanging about? Because if they if they came across those on a Friday or maybe a Thursday, you'd probably debunk it because Dylan went missing on the Saturday, right? Unless those campers came across the wash maybe on a Sunday, possibly. But, if you've got, a body and it's left out, how long does it take for flies to start lingering about? You know what I'm saying? Is it instant? Is it after a few days, a week? Let me know your thoughts. When do flies start being attracted to your body? Okay. But Weezer, if you do find it or you get to the bottom of it, feel free to point it out if you can. Oh, here we go again. Not for you. Guess you will be amazed when air is put in the tyres and the backhoe is drove away. You people are dumb. Well, that's not happened yet, but if it does happen at some point, most likely, I guess, Kurt Wadsworth. But it's been this long, why would you bother now? You know what I'm saying? Unless it already has happened, because to be fair, I've not really seen any recent footage, okay? But, this is the thing, and we'll give it from two different perspectives. If you're not informed about everything, everyone's movements, what's happening next, and you're a bit wary and cautious, 1 minute you see an item there, next minute no longer, you might question. You might think, oh, why was it taken away? Was it used in Dylan's disappearance? Yes, no, maybe. Then other people would come in and say, well, maybe it's just been used for other jobs, other tasks, maybe in assisting finding for Dylan. And then some other people would come in and say, well, whatever it was used for, it's, not seen service since, but because it belongs to this person over there, they want it back, they've got it back, case closed, right? Different points of views, different perspectives, it just depends what you know and what you don't know, right? No harm. But of course, not for you is being a bit sarcastic here and a bit cocky, bit of an attitude problem, which isn't a surprise because we've come across a couple of those within this case. Of course, this individual does have an issue with me, of course, grievances, but let's just check the channel out. We might as well, whilst we're here. So to begin with, their profile picture is of the American flag with an eye and a teardrop. It does make me think, does this person, not for you, have any aliases, any linking accounts or contacts by the username of We the People, whatever the number was after the username? You remember that? We the People. They were one of the whingiest whiners out there, constantly complaining, but constantly coming back to my videos. They had an obsession with me, right? Came across a recent twat within the Kenny Veach case who had a bit of an obsession with me. All he could do is complain. And I think whilst he's complaining, I think he needs to check out his own grooming products because his beard looks like a complete mess. A mixture between Charles Manson and being attacked by a raccoon. Fucking disaster. But this person, they got the American flag, they seem very patriotic. We the people, we tear from the eyes, we cry in the name of the people, we cry for the Lord, we cry for Christ, we cry for freedom, we cry for the fucking amendment, Jesus. I don't know how it goes, but yeah, you can tell this person's a bit full on already just by the profile picture and maybe by the cocky attitude and behaviour, right? We've got to treat humans like test subjects at times, just the way it is. Of course, you got some comments back there. Saw one in... Okay, how do I contact you? So basically, this person is not much of an arsehole towards other people, but just towards me, which isn't a surprise. Okay, I'm the black sheep when it comes to cases. Kurt listens to psychics. Yeah, okay, whatever. Let's just get onto the actual account to begin with. About section... Joined 5th of April 2013. Description, burn your ass 2@yahoo.com. Don't know if that's an actual email address or not. Could be cockiness there. Obviously zero content on the channel, which is no surprise. But let's just check their music taste. Because look, this is the thing. I did it in the past with the Kenny Veach case and community, and there was an outcry of resistance where people got offended, where people got the little pants in a twist. Some people, I think, started crying, and it's like, fucking hell, calm down. Because when you think about it, a person that listens to music, if it's a certain genre, a certain theme, a certain atmosphere, maybe certain lyrics within those songs, and it all links together, it might secretly reveal something about them as a person themselves, how they think, how they feel at a certain point, a certain time, what they're about, interest, dodgy or not, dark or light, positive, negative, you never know. So we just take a look here. So Not For You, assuming it's Taylina, Kurt's daughter, the one with an attitude problem. What do they listen to? Cake? Are they getting enough cake? I don't know. Machine Gun Kelly and Camila Cabello. Yeah. Havana, Unana. Yeah, you're going to go to Havana? No. I'm in a tidal wave instead. Tsunami. Shit. What's this? All That Remains. What if I was nothing? Oh my God, Taylina, don't say that about yourself. You're more than nothing. Better than me. We got Broken. We got Simple Man. We got The Sound of Silence. Yeah, it's not quite the one I was thinking of. The one that went, ooh, ah! Not that one. But that's a shame. We got Five Finger Death Punch. We got In This Moment, Whore. Okay. Are we following a pattern there? Maybe not. We got I'm Ready. We've got Issues. Do they have issues? Maybe. There Goes My Everything. Okay. I'll Be Okay. So it seems to be a pattern of maybe heartbreak, sadness, maybe relationship issues at some point. Something's gone wrong, but they're trying to hold it together, trying to be positive, trying to maybe raise above the hate, if there is any. We've got a guy in some tight pajamas. I'm Not Famous, right? We've got Bruno Mars, That's What I Like, but you're not catching a grenade for me, are you? We've got Gravity. We've got Flo Rida. Blow My Whistle. Yeah, which can be interpreted in many different ways. Okay, you've got someone like Bella V. You've got someone like Ellen Berg. Blow My Whistle. No, thank you. But yeah, do we test the whistling on the spot? Because you remember I used to do that in the intro, something like, I don't know. There you go. Let's move on. Anything else do we have here? Selena Gomez, Bad Liar. Oh, naughty. As well, Not For You has Logan Paul in their playlist. Let's just remember Logan Paul was the one in the past to film himself and his little group of people in the suicide forest and record a dead person that committed suicide and laughed about it and seemed quite intrigued. And obviously with that fake apology video afterwards and raising above growing as a person with, all that BS and typical stuff. So possibly that person, what they support, interesting. Anything else? Most girls. Oh no, we're getting to the Valley Girls section. Cake by the Ocean. So we're seeing a pattern with cake. This could be to do with that triangle forming and expanding. We knew in the past it was Stony, Maria Moyano, or Moshano. Okay. Lo siento, Maria, lo siento. Gracias. We had Ashley as well, but she's disappeared recently. We've got Bella V, Stony, Maria, maybe Ellen. We've got Kaylee. Okay, so, and maybe Taylina as well. So, things can change with time. Fits and tantrums. Yeah. Oh, okay. So, Imagine Dragons. I don't know which one it is, to be honest, because they're all different ones. Is it the... something like that. I mean, looking out, if you've not done whistling for a bit, sometimes you've got to warm up. Sometimes it depends what environment you're in as well. Your lips have to be kind of wet, but not too dry. We've got the Jaguars chilling in the backwoods. Yeah, man. Okay. So we've got a bit of country music playing or something. Yo, homeboy! Maybe a bit of rap as well. Forming that attitude, that persona about who Not For You is and how they relate to life and society. Scars, that could be physical scars or psychological scars, trauma with time, that can alter people's behaviour. What else do we have? Sick Like Me. Oh, that's not looking too good. Dear Daughter, Here's to Us, Bandits. Not really heard of that. Thunder. Wait, was it Thunder? Oh no. Oh no. Pride, I'm saying the correct one. Oh no. Imagine Dragons Thunder. Oh god, it's like Bella V all over again doing her singing, her lip sync. Yeah. How did that one go? Something like that. Whatever. Let's move on. Oh my god, the phone's fucking breaking on itself, you twat. What movies has the person looked at? Babes in Toyland, Disney, Dolls, Learn Numbers 1 to 10, Mexican Tortillas, and that's in the movie category. Very odd in a way. Yeah, interesting. But just wanted to do that so you can present maybe an observation behind this person, what they truly are, okay, their personality, their behaviour. Because look, you got to double proof yourself with time. Whether it be a case, a mystery, you know, people come in, come out, whether they show their face or not, and not always. Some people hide behind the screens, some people don't show their face, some people don't show the voice, whatever. And it's only when it's too late you find out the reality, right? And as you've seen with other YouTube channels, it has backfired with time and it's gone to shit. So it's about trying to eliminate those issues, trying to reveal possible dodginess in people and trying to understand the misunderstood, okay? And last but not least, final two comments on here by Deb D. Yeah, Deb D is back. The Dirt Mound does look disturbed. Yeah, it does from the top, from the kind of like the front side of it. And then we got Chanel. Oh my god, Chanel, about time, girl. So welcome to the channel. Saying, do you think the Dirt Mound has been broke down and dug up in that area by the FBI? If not, this may be a hot spot. Well, from how it's been worded with time, I don't know if it was directly the FBI, but it's been confirmed that some kind of like authority ended up searching for it, dug it up and stuff. But visually, when you look at it, that doesn't seem to be the case. Now, I know with time, right, things can change, but I guess you gotta look at the vegetation nearby. You know what I'm saying? Because you see some of the vegetation growing on the sides and on the base and a little bit on the top. It makes you think maybe it hasn't really been truly searched through, truly disturbed. Like, I can't think of any examples on the spot where things have been disturbed in recent time, but like, if you're going to have vegetation, you're going to have weeds growing with the roots implanted within. If they're pulled out, right, then you know someone's been properly searching for it. If you've been very careful with some of the plants, you probably didn't do a thorough check. So, you know, that's what you got to take in mind when it comes to this Dirt Mound. If you think, you know, if you look back and you wasn't for sure whether it's been searched or not, you could think it's a possible spot just because it's kind of, you know, how do you call it? It's like one of those easy things which people don't always look at immediately. You can understand what I'm saying? Now, you know, if it has been truly searched, then you can write it off. But it's that a little bit of uncertainty of has it thoroughly been checked, right? But, you know, maybe at some point Candice Cooley might double check it. You know, if the pond has been checked more than once, the same may happen with the Dirt Mound. If not, it's already happened. Because you've got to take in mind that footage, what we did look back at, which was like 2 days ago or so, that is like from some months ago, right? So it's not exactly fresh, not new. So it'd be interesting to see, of course, newer footage of the area and maybe the pond itself to get an idea of what it looks like visually, but no one's done that since, okay? Of course, Pancakes is doing his own thing. He's already been out there, he's already done his thing, and he's like talking about other stuff as well and trying to expand his channel. As for Lance is doing that cadaver dog stuff, and I think he's got a live stream coming out, Lost in Louisiana. I assume that's where the cadaver dog training is, in Louisiana. Seems kind of far away. I don't know the actual mileage. So that might be for some time. So I don't know what happens in between as for their channel, whether they upload videos or not, if they have unreleased ones or whatever. I guess time will tell. I guess we'll just see what happens there, of course. You know, even if there's that possibility that Dylan was found in between, you know, is it a complete waste? No, because you could still apply the idea of using that dog for other missing people. Not everyone agrees with it, though, of course, as we've heard recent time and previous, but will the attitudes change? I don't know. I guess time will tell. But yeah. I think what we should do now, we're talking about all that, is just simply move on to that discussion forum page and see what's to look at next. So from the looks of it, following on from this discussion of the Dirt Mound case, it's going on about Dylan and Don, the power dynamics and the possible tension, friction there. Grandma Bear saying, I had the same thought. I get the washing machine too, but work is work. Authority could well be some of the roots of it, though, of course, meaning who is boss, and Dylan seemed to think he was the boss of the hired hand. And I guess because of the age difference, being a complete reverse way around, it didn't seem to sit well with the farm hand. But from what Candice Cooley had said previously, whilst they had a bit of a disagreement, they parted separate ways but were on neutral terms. So it wasn't all bad. I think the only thing to acknowledge would be 6 weeks it happened. You know, the 6 weeks space of that happening, then followed by Dylan going missing. There's a big time difference, right? If it was like maybe a week, maybe 2 later, then you could say there might have been a plan, something set up. But 6 weeks, that's enough to cool down, cool off, or to move on, right? But why does Candice Cooley seem kind of sure that maybe Dawn and Dylan would have patched things up, though, with time? Why does she think that? But anyway, Regina goes on to say, well, what concerns me is that Dylan was without the man's help and expertise for all these weeks. And in that Heavy D video, it comes across to me as though Dylan's mother and husband may not have been aware that the farmhand had been fired. Well, I've not really looked too much into that, to be honest. Does anyone know about Dylan making a phone call before going missing 6 weeks earlier, telling the mother, Candice Cooley, about what he had to do, fire Don? Did that conversation take place? I've just not really heard it before or heard Candice Cooley bring it up, because the talk has been more focused about Candice Cooley referring back to when Dylan called her about coming across that crazy guy in the desert who turned out to be Chase Venstra, but name wasn't revealed at the time. So the possibility that maybe Dylan may have told Candice Cooley about the situation at some point. You'd think so. Yeah, you'd think so, because how else would Candice Cooley know about it unless she had to reach out to Don for Don to say what happened previous. But I'm sure Dylan would have made a phone call at some point, though. Yeah. I mean, do you think that Dylan Rounds would struggle with his farm by himself, or is he capable of doing it solo? What's your thoughts? Because I know he said he wanted to expand in the future. I guess if he's going to expand, he would need more people to work for him. Aside from like 1 or 2 people, there's not really been any other any others. And if there has, it's just been like temporary work, little bits here and there, not like full on. You've got to take that into mind. Grandma Bear says, I haven't seen the Heavy D ones and probably should. Saw a couple of others. Okay. What's this? He was the one sent to check on him, wasn't? Yeah. Guess who? Being where he is, I'm picturing more like cowboy boots, but only because of where is this place taken. Okay. Grandma Bear says, could be. Where I'm from, it is work boots. I mean, I don't think it's cowboy boots. I've not seen the photos, but I think it's literally work boots. They're like ones what we saw of Dylan when he was on the Segway, but a different pair, different one. That's just talking about past life story. Don't need to know about that. I'd also add he went out in work boots too. The cowboy boots were like for weddings or nice night out. I mean, I don't know what shoe wear Dylan was wearing during that. Was it sister's wedding or something? Or some kind of family thing going on. I remember the photos which we looked at where Candice Cooley obviously was younger. Dylan was there with his kind of dress formally with that flower or something in his front pocket, but I don't know what shoe wear he was wearing then. Just to refer back to. Guess who says, in most of Wyoming, cowboy boots are work boots and they have their dress boots on top of that. That is all the guys I know that live out there. Okay, we have the crew that was from out there. 5 guys. Right. Grandma Bear. I thought this was Utah and Nevada. If I heard Wyoming or Texas, I would likely think of cowboy boots. I've seen cowboy boots that are like a work boot, or at least they're a pull-on boot rather than the lace-up. I mean, you probably can get cowboy boots anyway, even from a fancy dress shop, even from the UK, to be honest. Regina, what's this? Well, there's only one episode I've ever watched, but yeah, it would have saved you a lot of confusion discussion if you'd seen it from the start. Yes, man, who the grandmother asked to go check on Dylan. I think he could also be the man who owns and possibly lives on the property where the grain truck was parked. Well, he doesn't own the property, but he squats on the property, the grain truck. But from what I remember, the grandmother didn't ask Brenna to directly go looking for Dylan. She asked Don first of all, and then I think the message was passed on to Brenna that way around. Anything else? In that most recent Idaho News interview, the father showed that he was wearing boots identical to Dylan's. Was he? It's probably, actually, no. How would Regina know what Dylan Round's boots look like to be able to compare to Justin's in the first place? I don't understand that. I have seen Justin's like boots, and they did look like work shoes. They didn't look like cowboy boots. It was one of the East Idaho News Channel interviews in the early days where Justin, I think, was wearing a black top, jeans, and those brown boots, which he wore in all the different interviews, right? But I didn't think they were similar to Dylan's. What's this? Mum said he always got the same kind of boots. He's shown wearing boots. I'd imagine they're similar. Yeah. They don't look like cowboy boots. They just look like work boots. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we've even got a close-up. That's good for once. So these are not the boots that were found behind the dirt mound, but these are like older ones from the past, I assume. The colour of them, they do look a bit dirty. Some black marks on there, or it's faded. I don't know which way round. But they don't look like Justin's. No, I think Justin's were like darker brown. Anything else? Grandma Bear says, I watched the things I knew had the mother etc. on, but never got around to the Heavy D guy, and honestly, the first few times I saw the mom too, things were still confusing afterwards as to what was where for the locations and more. That's not a judgment of her. They were just finding out under extreme duress, I'm sure, plus you tend to answer what is asked, so that is also on anyone interviewing. And then there was just confusion on what they did know, like power wash truck or not, was he in town Friday or not, etc. early on. The way this person types, it's almost like the Shack lady speaking on supersonic speed. My God. But let's just stop for a quick second. In the chat now, list any discussions, any ideas, any events, any locations which you have heard talked about in the past, which were up for discussion, up for debate, but were never truly debunked. Because I still feel there's probably a lot of loose ends out there which have just died out, faded away, but have not been cleared up with time. I mean, I've got a few, which I've mentioned previous, which have not really been cleared up since. But if you have, feel free to list it down below or even in the comment section, and maybe we can start a new discussion off, clear something up, you never know. Clean up job, maybe. Anything else? Thanks for putting it out there. Okay. The only one of the others I hadn't watched was the East Island News Channel. Yeah, with the parents both on it. It was minor, but the mum said it was raining when Dylan told Grandma he had to get his grain in. I know it didn't supposedly rain as much that morning as afternoon, but that means the grain was possibly already exposed to some rain. Was he upset, I wonder? Or was it no big deal? I keep wondering if he was out late and overslept. Not a judgment, just a scenario that keeps crossing my mind. Or had even just gotten home and had stayed in town. Did Grandma call just to chat or check in? Was she making sure he was home, okay, or up and about? That too isn't not a judgment. It wouldn't be an unusual thing to do for grandparents. So even here it's mentioned about the mom said it was raining when Dylan told the grandma he had to get his grain in. I don't remember hearing that. Do any of you in the chat? All I remember was Candice coolly saying, oh yeah, and Dylan phoned the grandmother, Karen, saying he had to get his grain truck in the grain shed because it was going to rain later on, so it had to be done. Not once did I hear it being talked about that it's raining right now. Of course, I only truly, really heard about that the last week or two with our recent discussions of the weather. Interesting how, at times, maybe for some people, it takes so long to get a simple answer out. And still, humans have failed to give coordinates within this case, such as the maps, pinpointing something, exact location of someone. People are just not providing GPS coordinates, and it's lacking for sure. That's one big downfall. You got these people that might be experts in the area going about, but they're not sharing the coordinates. Now, I know for some stuff they might not be able to share because it might harm a possible scene of evidence, but for the other parts which have been ticked off the list, there's no harm in giving coordinates. It does help. Let's carry on. One of the things that doesn't work for me is Dylan takes the grain truck to protect the grain in the morning, but his phone pings around 3 that afternoon. In general area that there is his farm, unless someone else had control of his phone then. That's what I was thinking. The boots and grain protection site didn't seem to relate to disappearance, and he wouldn't have went missing from there that morning. It might fit him walking home like an ambush. Well, or it could have happened earlier, or at a certain point whilst parking the truck in the grain shed, or shortly just after that. Some kind of confrontation, maybe. Mum said his boots were in the wrong direction from where Dirt Mound. Unusual if he was availing himself of the dump site and could have went to the road hoping to get a hitch or ride back, see someone he knew and hope to get a ride. Yeah, but it's very quiet, the back roads of Lucerne in general, so you'd probably be waiting there for like weeks for someone to pass by there. Maybe he was tired or hungover and didn't want to walk home. If he was tired or hungover, he wouldn't have been able to do his farming late at night, the night before Friday, coming back from Montello earlier in the day. Wouldn't have been possible. And from the looks of it, Dylan, he did drink alcohol, supposedly, but not lots and lots and lots like an alcoholic. I mean, I don't think Brenner would offer Dylan a beer, no. Again, not a judgment, just trying to figure out why and why. Okay. It was just a spot drip of blood on his boots, and they didn't even think it was blood at first. Still don't know if human. Dad said Dylan had his boots about a year, maybe, or so. Maybe they had a key to the trailer, otherwise it sounds like maybe it was not locked, but the truck was as they went in the trailer, but had to break into the truck. Mom said Dylan had big plans for the entire valley. That again might not sit well or may sound like bragging to others. Yeah, people may feel threatened. People may feel like they're going to be uprooted, moved about. You know, they might want to protect their own safety. They want to protect where they live. I can understand that in a way. What else is there? The guy with the piece of equipment helped him do his main line last year and helped him out, etc. Believe this was the bar owner and the one who also sent them on the wild goose chase, saying someone had Dylan. Kurt Wadsworth. Okay. As for that main line, I don't know if it was presented in my last video, but that guy in the blue top with the beard, who I think was bald, he said the main line is somewhere over that way, which was kind of like if you were looking behind the grain shed over in that direction, somewhere around there. That's where the main line is. And the main line also came up during that little meltdown by Justin Rounds where he was calling out Don Hately, saying, Don Hately, come out here with your gay son and your family. Meet me at the main line, you fat fuck. That's how it was worded, quoted, right? Interesting. Anything else? Sounds like box elder is still a problem, at least as far as Equisearch. Okay. Guess who? It seems very much the same type of environment and mindset to me, so that is what I pictured. Grandma Bear. What's this? Watching the Heavy D one. It was early on in his case, so some has been learned since change. Mom says that he will be wearing a sweatshirt or flannel, even if 80 or more degrees out there. That would make for one hot, long walk home and very dehydrating. Although I guess I don't know what the temp was that day. Have we ever heard? Also, she says the ping was, it sounded like behind the shed or ways where it is hilly or slopes down or some such. She said he wouldn't have any reason to be in the rest of the ping circle, so they know it had to be there pinged or some such. I don't think that it's necessarily true though, depending on whether he or someone else had his phone, etc. 3 p.m-ish. And even though he said he had no reason to be elsewhere in the ping circle, there's also no reason he should be missing, so not a criticism, but just stop saying not a criticism. It's just like Bella V saying, just saying. My God, stop it. Guess who? She seems to be putting a lot of her opinions out as facts. Interesting, so even this person's a bit wary of Candice Cooley. Opinions as facts. If Candice Cooley has done that, do you agree that's what Candice Cooley has done? I mean, I guess YouTubers and just people out there on YouTube have done it at times because they've just poorly worded something. Maybe it wasn't always intentional, but it's happened. There's no way she can be positive of what all his daily life entailed. True, because she wasn't there all the time. They can change a lot in their first year out on their own. I do believe from her that he was a really good kid and this is not normal for him to be gone and it needs to be looked into. Yeah. After a year away from me, there is no way I'd be able to tell you as a fact that those were the boots my kids were currently wearing, especially if they had multiples of the same ones. It might just mean he bought a new pair and discarded those. We've got a new user called What Next. Okay. What's this? Missing in Utah. $100,000 reward now being offered in a disappearance. Have we looked at that article before? I don't know. Well, I guess we can read it another time. I'll have a quick sieve through at some point just to check if there's anything interesting, any contradictions and stuff. If not, we don't need to look at it, but if there is something, we'll take a look, okay? How many more comments, my God? Grandma Bear back with the paragraphs saying, and certainly could be, and I think we are both going based on what we know and have seen. You said you've seen it with crews, etc., and I've seen the farm thing, but in the Midwest, even at school, seriously, the farmers wore their for fuck's sake, talking about the cowboy boots. Yeehaw! Okay, that's life stories, okay? Guess who? Not many working cowboy boots here either, just for show. Right. Regina says, her info was that it started raining that Saturday morning, but I just recently watched a YouTube video in which the guest info was that it actually started raining on Friday now, of course. I'm well aware that it can be raining on one side of the street and be clear and sunny on the other, but such info causes me to wonder how much rainfall there was actually prior to that Saturday morning. Interesting. Okay. So that guest that appeared, where is it? Guest info stating it rained on Friday. Who is this guest? Who are they? Where are they from? Were they in the area at the time it rained, supposedly on Friday? Do any of the locals of Montello right now, have any of you heard of this? Any of the viewers on my channel, have you ever heard of this information, supposedly, it raining on a Friday night? I mean, if it did, I can understand why Dylan Rounds would want to, be proactive with his grain truck. But then again, it's like, well, if it's that bad, if it's raining Friday, then you would have rushed all the way back home. You wouldn't even bother using the tractor, planting, seeding at your farm. You just would have got the grain truck and just literally drove it to the grain shed and end it there, right? So I don't know. If it did rain, most likely it had to have rained elsewhere besides Dylan's farm area in Lucin, because you wouldn't have just sat back and let it just get wet. Not at all. Interesting. This is what I mean. This sort of information that creeps in, where it's something I've not heard before, it does make you think, right? It definitely makes me think. It could just be a rumour, or it could be slightly misworded, but there's no harm in raising awareness with some of these points, right? What else? She lost me there too. I mean, it was a 15-mile radius period. Anyway, based on the closed gate info at this point, I'm thinking that D and J were actually right. That is, that he actually did go out that way. D and J. What the fuck is D and J? Dylan and Justin? Don and Justin? Don and Jim Brenner. This is what I mean. I hate it when people do these very small abbreviations. This is what causes confusion. Edit. I'm not positive that both D and J were of the same impression such info came from the mother's husband, and he referred to them as a pair rather than individuals. No clue what they're talking about here, to be honest. Grandma Bear. Oh, fuck. Here we go. Final paragraph. I think so too, and I understand, but I think it is a bit unwise even to be so certain on such things in an investigation. Just a new friend could change what he might do socially, or extra money might change the boot situation, and maybe having two pairs or getting new, etc. Well, from a past story Candice Cooley told, saying that Dylan at one point in the past went down to New Mexico, I think for a holiday or something. He came back and he was proud to tell his mother that he was able to buy some special cowboy or work boots, which cost a fortune, but because of where he was and the price of them, he was able to get them much cheaper. And he was like kind of like proud, happy about that. It shows that I guess he was good with money in a way. No talks about him being in debt or owing people money, even though there's been some rumours claiming that, but Candice Cooley has been quick to dispel that stuff. Interesting. Anything else? The other thing is, when you are still relying on a parent for money or for credit, which it seems like he was with Dad at least, you aren't always going to share where you spend every red cent you have, because even the best meaning parents and even the most non-invasive ones may say, hey, you don't need to do that or to waste money on that when you don't support yourself. And they feel that they have a right with their adult kid because they still provide money or trucks or campers, insurance, cell phones, or whatever the case might be. Okay. She said in the Heavy D video, this was a drip spot of blood only. She and Dad said it was dark and they thought maybe oil. In fact, undetermined that they know of so far that it's even human. I think it's so possible that it's animal, quite honestly, but who knows? He is missing and the boots were found and a drop of blood is on them, so it could be ominous. Foul play, of course. Now, recently, Indiana, okay? Indiana, are you in the chat right now? I heard recently you said you got the information from the police that it was animal blood. My question is, do you know exactly where you got that information from? Was it some kind of official website, Twitter, Facebook page? Was it on YouTube? Was it a channel talking about what the police supposedly said, passing it on? Or maybe a person coming on the interview panel? Let me know. But yeah, I think that concludes that page for now. Interesting about the rain on a Friday. I mean, the more it rains, the longer period of days it rains consecutively, the higher chances of maybe a flood or some areas filling up with water, which could redirect people going elsewhere. They're going to dispose of someone or something, right? Got to take that into mind. But it ultimately depends exactly where it rained. It might have rained, but not in that spot, just further afar. So, of course, a list down below if you found anything of interest, if I missed anything. Okay, so I think that's it for now. I don't know if the lighting, the brightness is different if you're on a different device, but from what I can see on my screen, like my face, because it's so dark in the background that I'm fading away, you can't really see my hair, so you could assume that maybe my wig is not on right now, and then that could fulfill Pancake's dark, naughty fantasies. I don't know what's going on in his head, okay? But if I ever do see him, I won't get too close because he's probably going to be reaching out like a little child, reaching out for the little Happy Meal and the toy inside. Oh my god, give me, I really want to play with your hair, oh my god. No. So I think that's it for now overall. As for the Dirt Mound discussion, we will move on to the next thing, of course, next time, which will be a map analysis, right? I'll be able to create a project and map it out properly, so it'll be a bit more organised. Hopefully no distractions in between, but if there is distractions here and there, whatever, or in the background, it is what it is, okay? So, of course, leave any comments down below if you've got additional points or questions and try and answer them later. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye and good night for now.